Hello friends and everyone, you are welcome back again to Netcode-Hub channel. This video we are going to continue on a project that we started already, and that is the .NET Maui Ecommerce, whereby we have our application, whereby this application depends on a web API for data such as the product. And we created our services, and we created our views and called the services or the API in our views and displayed the product in the Android or in a mobile device. So this video, we are going to talk about how to add to cart, how to create a service to handle customer selection or customer choice that's going to make. And so let me go through with you what you're going to talk about today. I have already done this, so we're going to go through for you to know what you're going to do. Okay, don't worry, this is a continuation of the previous video. So if you haven't watched that video, then I strongly recommend you to watch that. Don't worry, if you can't find it, I'll put it under the description. So please check it over there. Watch it well before you come to this, because we are continuing. But if you think you can just catch up with it, you can still keep watching. Okay, if you want to grab some content in this, you can still keep watching this. Although if you haven't watched the previous one, you can still do that. Now let's see. So this is what we had previously, and currently this is what I have. So for this, you see we have this is our product list. So in our previous video, we displayed the product image and the product name, and we added price. But the new one, the updated one, I've added product description, and we have just made a substring because they want to display all the list of the product list, not the product description. So you can see we have shorthanded and appended .3 to it. We have quantity available, so we display also quantity as well, so that the user won't select or won't type in any number which is more than the quantity. We want to display the quantity as well. And we have a button as add to cart. So if I click on add to cart, it's going to add this to the cart. So let's try that and see. So first of all, you can see I have a button here as view cart, and there is the cart now. So currently, if I click on this, it's going to pop up and show the current cart or current items that I have in my cart. Okay, so let's try to add items to cart and see what's going to happen. Maybe I'll choose this item, maybe this bag. So I'm going to click on this item. Now, as soon as I click on this item, you can see it asks you how many of the name bag that you need. So defaultly, you have one selected for you. You can still add more, but the number that you're going to pass here won't be the number or won't be out of range. Okay, like for instance, the quantity here, if you check here, let's click on cancel. The quantity here is 42. If I decide to pass in 3 numbers, let's see what happens. So 42, if I pass in 4, 2, and add 0, you see the 0 is not coming. I'm trying to type in the number, but you see it is not working here. Unless I clear this up, and I can still add 47 over here, but I can pass 3 numbers. If I pass in 2 numbers, so that is 47. Let's see. So if I click on OK, let's see what happens. So you see it tells you that, sorry, your quantity is out of stock, because the quantity available is 42 and you're trying to pass in 47. That is the first validation that we make sure that it is intact. Okay. Now the next one is, let's see, I'm going to add the same thing. So I'm going to add 1. So I'm going to add 1 here. Now you can see product added to cart. Now let's say, for instance, I want to update the quantity of this. I've added this as 1 already. If I add the same one again, let's see the output saying product added already. That's right. Now let's go to the next one. So I added 1, let's add 2. And now let's click on OK. And I can see product updated. You see, so these are the things that we made sure that they are fixed well. So we don't want to duplicate items in a cart with the same item product. No, don't do that. So you want to just have one item, but as soon as you update the quantity, it can update its quantity as well. All right, so now we have this item in the cart, and now let's add one more. So we have this also one. I'm going to add this. Put that added to cart. Let's add this bag. So let's add this. So let's make this as maybe 2. So let's click on OK. All right, I'm going to add the last one. So let me add this as 3. Okay. So one thing also is if I decide to pass in this, if I clear this and click on OK, let's see. You see nothing happens because you've typed in nothing. So nothing happens. Yes, that is it. So we have these items added. Now when I click on this flyout, you see I have this symbol right here, article or view cart. So if I click on this view cart, let's see, it has to populate and now get us the cart list. All right, so you can see it is now loaded my cart, and that is it. These are the items that or the product that we picked, we choose, right? Now you see from here we have some details about this. We have the product name, we have product price, the quantity that user ordered, that is 1, and we have subtotal for that. So here the subtotal, it is the total price here times the quantity that you ordered. Now this is 1, so you have the same 140.55, and we have this as Ghana cedis, that is my currency here. Okay, so you can add US dollar, you can add pound, you can add any rebels, you can add rupees, any currency that you want to add. Okay, you can add it to it. And as you can see from here, if you check this, there is 140.55, but the order is 2, so you're going to multiply this by this, and we have the subtotal here. So as soon as you add your product and add your quantity that you want, you're going to have the subtotal calculated automatically. Then you have it over there. Now at the end of the day, you can see you have the list here. So you go downstairs, and I can see from this down here, you can see you have the summary for your shopping. Number of items is equal to 9. But if you count the number of items here, they are just 2, 4, 5, 6, right? But check here, count the order. There is 1, this is 2, making 3. There is 4, there is 7. Then we have 8 and 9. So we have 9 items. So it is counting the individual item that you've added, the number of items. Although it could be the same item, but how many times have you added that item? It is 2 times, 3 times, or more. Then you're going to count that. So at the end of the day, you're going to have the tax. Do you have tax? Do you have to pay tax on it? Yes, of course. So you pay tax of 3%. Then after subtracting the tax, we want to give you a discount of 0.5% of the tax-free amount. Then so you have the grand total here, and I'm going to have the tax being out of this. After that, you're going to have your discount added to this, the grand total left. And so this is the payable amount. So you're going to pay 2,263.67 Ghana cedis. All right, so this is the total amount that you're supposed to pay. But for the sake of the tax and also the discount, you're going to have this amount lesser than the grand total that you have to pay. After that, then you're going to have your checkout. All right, so this is what you're going to do. Actually, maybe the next video, you're going to talk about how to also remove item from the cart. Maybe if I decide that the amount is too big that I can't pay, how can I remove this? How can I update the quantity also here? I don't need to go to the app again or the product again to update the cart or to update the specific product here. As soon as I click on this, maybe I can have the view so I can update it. We're going to talk about that maybe next time, okay? So, but for now, let's focus on how to add product to cart. All right, so this is what we are going to do. So let's go back again to the view product, and that is it. So in this video, I'm going to take you through this, okay? But as I said earlier on, please watch the previous video, and I have the basics in it because that is a continuation of that video before you can watch this. But although you can still watch as well, okay? All right, now when you run this and Windows 2, we're going to have the same thing. But I want to check here. I could say I have this static base address stated over here as I'm checking if the device is Android. I want to use this. If the device is desktop, I want to use my local host. That's the application desktop or Windows application. if you want to use Android, if you want to make Android depend on the data from localhost or local web API, you have to make some configuration. And I'll make sure that before I put or I just upload this source code to GitHub, I'll make sure that sentence is included, so you can also run it in localhost, but not this. What you are seeing here, it is a dev tunnel. So if you don't know how to create dev tunnel to put your localhost online, so you can have access to it in your Android emulator, then I'll put the video under the description. I've made a video on that. Okay, so check the description. I'm going to teach you how to do that. All right, so I'm going to stop this. Now, this is also dependent from a web API. Maybe if you don't know, let me show you. You can see we have all the products here. So if I click on try this out, execute and get product, we are having all the products over here. What is executing? Now we see this from the get web tunnel URL. That is it. And now this is all the products over here. You have the ID, name, and description and images converted into base64 string. And these are the things that we are displaying in over there. All right, so let's display it on the desktop too. And now see. So I'm going to close this up. So you can see you have the dev tunnel here. And I'm going to make sure I select the framework of Windows. So as you can see, there are multiple startup projects, and I'm going to click on start. So this time around, we're going to base on desktop. Okay, so we're going to use our desktop to run it or to create application, because trying it in desktop is very easy, or it's easier than trying it in Android. So we're going to use the desktop version to do it. At the end of the day, then we run it to the Android and see what we have, the output on the Android device. All right, so that is it for the desktop. You can see it is the same as the Android one. We have our add product and view cart here. So currently, if I click on view cart, you're going to see that the cart is empty because I have not added any item yet. All right, so let's go to now with view product. I can still add this, and it still works on Android too. You can see that's the desktop. It still works as well. Now let's see. So I must have the alert or the toast to display if product is being added to cart. So if I click on this, I want to add this also. I must see the toast here. Maybe whilst you work on it, you're going to see the toast as well. In desktop, at times the toast decides to come, at times it doesn't. So maybe when you decide to create this for the desktop, you can use alert as well to display alert. Or maybe you can use a pop-up as well. All right, so let's add this. And I'm going to add one over here. Let's try this too. So I'll add this as well. And now let's go to view cart. So you can see we have the same thing as well. As you can see, the same item that we saw, the summary of shopping. And we have our payable amount and everything specified, as you can see from here, because that is the thing that we added. All right, so you can see now they are the same. So this app that we're going to create is going to work on both desktop and also Android and iPhone. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. So if I click on home, I have the whole item. I'm going to close all this, and we're going to start with it. Okay, so in this video too, or this current one, we are going to do some modification in the previous video. Now, the first one to talk about here, it is displaying the image. You can see that from here, if you want to display image, unless you loop through the data or the list coming in, and I will try to create a new variable, and we have to convert the image of base64 string into an image source, so we can display them here. But out of in case we want to display it in another component or in another view, it becomes a problem. So what we can do here is we can create a custom image display. Now this custom image control, what it's going to do here is it's going to accept the base64 string and then convert it into image source. So we can use this component anywhere. So we're going to clear all this and try to create a new custom image control. Now let's do that. So I'm going to close this off, and we're going to be working using the window version. Now when we are done, we're going to run this in Android and see what we have in the Android, because when running in the Windows, it takes less time than compared to using the Android. Okay, so I'm going to close this. So let's stop debugging. So let me close this up. That is a dev tunnel. Now on top of this service that we have created, that is a product service. You know, that is when you go to Solution Explorer, and you can see we have this services folder because we have this product service. Now we are getting data from this API, and that's what we specified in here. So product service, this one, you can see we are getting data from this. But if you are running on Windows, then we need not to use the dev tunnel. So we want to check if the device is Windows, then or if the platform is Windows, then we want to use the localhost. But if the platform is Android or iOS, then we can decide to use the dev tunnel link created. So in such case, I'm going to clear all this, and I can just replace it with just one line of code. And I see we make it static because it is static. You create once and for all. We have this as a base string, and this base address, we're checking the platform is Android. Then we're going to use this. If it is other else, that is going to be Windows, then let's use this localhost. And that is our port for the localhost. Okay, so that's our server. So if I check our server, you can see we have as what 7234, and that is what we are using in here. Okay, now that is the first thing to do. Aside from that, let's go in there and create our custom control. So we can create a folder and name it as custom controls to the project. So let's do that. So in here, let's create a new folder to the client, and let's make it as custom control. So add new folder, and that is custom controls. So in that folder, let's create a class and let's name it as image custom control. So this is going to be a class. So that's going to be the name, custom image control. So in this class, we can now go ahead and create our custom control. Now you see we have this namespace on top here, and that's the namespace that we just added. Now the first thing is we could see it is inheriting from this image. Okay, and now we are creating this bindable property, setting up the base address, that's the name of, to the base address here. This property created, and now the type of is a string because it's going to accept just a string. And here we're going to specify also the same class name that we created, and now we have this property change. So when property changes, we want to call this, and that is what is going to perform the magic. So it's going to take in the bindable here object. It is an image. It's going to take in the value and I try to convert and get at the image source, and that is what it is doing it over here. So as we create this custom control, that is for image. Anytime that we need to specify just the base default source. You see here, this property is get and set. So you can now set the value of this, and we can also get the value of this. So we need to call this component, and now set the value for the base default source, and it's going to convert the whole base default string into an image. Let's save this, and we can now close this, and let's go in there and now use this custom image that we created. But before we do that, we first have to add a namespace to the project. So we go to the display side, and that's going to be the we go to views, and I can see from the font you want to check the font homepage .xml. Now in here, let's add a control here. Let's add a namespace, and that's the namespace is the demo Ecommerce. That's the project name .client.custom control, because this is the folder that we created. So after doing this, can now call this control and now try to use the image tag that we've created. So where we have the image, we now go in there and I'll try to edit that. You can see we have the image over here. So this image, we are going to replace it with a custom control. We specify the source of this image, okay? And now this is going to work. So now we are done with this. It's very simple. Let's go to the page here. Now in here, this get method, we're going to clear all this and I replace it with a single one. So let's clear everything here. And let's replace it with just simple one. So we see from here that we get the whole data from the product service. Now we check if it is null, then return. If not, then we're going to clear this product list. And now this product list here, we are not going to use this product term again. We want to use a product whereby it has the string property for this image type as image. So when you check the image type, let's say from this library, now from the client section, you can see we have models here, Now these models, we have products here. So you want to use this image, not this product terms, not this one, okay? Because I'm not going to use this anymore, so we can just get rid of this. Now we go to the view model, and now here we change this to the product itself, because this product itself comes in with the base default string as an image source. And now in here, we are going to create, you can see we can set this as product model. And on this product model, you can see we have this list of products, and we are going to add the new product model. So what is this new product model? What we can do here is, you can see we have a library added. Now, when you check our library here, you can see we have models as category and now product. When you check the same for the client, you can see we have the same category and product. We have here service response, and we have the same service response. So what we're going to do here is we want to put everything, all the models, all the shared models in the library, so we can add them to the separate project to make our work, our project very simple, also by using the clean architecture as well. Because we have to add our class library, and in our class library, we have to add all models that need to be shared by both the client and also the server as well. So let's see what to do here. We are going to clear all this. So let's delete this model from the client section. And I'm going to use the model in here. And now you can see we have these responses. Now let's see. So the models is gone. Now you can see we have, so the model is gone. There's a platform. You can see there's a resources. So it is gone. Now let's put everything inside this library. So first of all, let's come to a library. Now let's add a model. So let's add a folder to this. And now this model or this folder is going to be client model. So let's say client model. Now with this client model, we want to add all the classes that we need for the client section. Okay, so we're going to add some classes here. So in here, we need to add the category model. And now you can see we have this category model. So we create a class, and that's going to be the category model. So when you check the models, we have the same category. But these models are the entities. These are the models that we use for database. So we don't want to touch these models because they are entity models. When you touch them, it's going to affect the database. Okay, so I don't want to do that. I want to keep them as they are. And I want to create, that is a duplicate of that. And I'm going to create it as a model. For that one, we can just modify the way that we want. So we create one over here for category model, and it's the same as this category. Let's do the same for this client, that is a product model as well. So we can create a class here, and now you're going to name this class as product model. And whereby this product model class is going to perform, we're going to have the same properties as this product model. Just that when you check the product model, this product entity, it has relationship. But when you check our product model here, it doesn't have any relationship here. So this is going to be used by the client, and this one, the entity one, is going to be used by the database on our server. Okay, good. So now we have this. You can just go in there. You can save everything and go to this view. And now all this can just make it clear to that. And what we need to do here is we have to make it as product model. So we say product models. And now this time around, we need to add the library to this project. So we go back to this client, we'll click on dependencies, and now go to add project reference. Now make sure we select this library. Now click on add. This project has been added. Now control period. We can now go ahead and use this reference of this. Okay, so we can use this product here, or the client service dot services. So you can have this product model from that, and we can use that model. So control period, you could see that we have using demo ecommerce.library.client model. That's a new folder that we created, and now this is solved. So what we need to do here is you have to just go in there and now copy this and now paste it over here. So this we have here as product. So we can just make a check. We can just maintain as we have over here as product, and I can see all these are solved. Now what are we doing here? The list of product that we get over here, if it is not null, we are looping through, and I want to check the description. If the length it is greater than 40, you want to append 3 dots to it. But if it is not, then return the same description. When we create that, we're going to create a new instance of this product model. And now we're going to set this property as ID category. You can just do ID category. You can have image. You can have price. You can have quantity and description. Okay. So we create new instance of this and we populate it over here. And we can now pass it. Okay. So now this is what we are just getting. So as you can see from here, we are returning this image string. That's the basic default string. Now when it gets to this component, you're going to convert it into an image and now display that for us. Now we have this. We can just go in there and now run this again. So before that, I want to change this framework version to Windows because we want to use Windows here. And now let me change the API also from that is a dev tunnel into none because we want to use the local one. And now let's set this as startup property or startup project. So click on multiple one. And now the API, you want to start without debugging. Now with the client section, just start, include debugging as well. Now let's run this and see. When you have any error too, we are going to rectify that while the project builds. Yeah, so you can see we have all these errors that we need to change. So let's start them one after the other. We can just pin this over here. And we can check the first one. So you need to exclude this from it. And here, service response, control period. Now we're going to use the one from the library. And here is going to be product model. So we're going to change this as product model as well. So I'm going to make all these changes. So what I'm going to do here is I can just grab this. Then I can just replace it with a new one. And in that, you see we have the service model, product model, all included into the project. Now the same thing is we have to do the same thing to the interface as well. So we go to the iProduct service, and now in here we have to change them to this model and category model and also product model as well. So let me do that, and I also do replace them here. Let's replace here. Okay, so now I can just add. So it's already been added. Let me clear this off. And I believe that the problems, they are all solved. The last one is this category. And let's see, yeah, it is solved now. So now let's try to run this again and see what we have. Okay, so we need to change this here. If you check, we need to also change this from the product model to category model and etc. So let's do that. So category model. And now control period, we can now use this. So product model. And now category model too. So we can copy this, paste it. Now product model. So these are the changes that we need to make. I believe that is all for now. All right, so let's see. Yeah, and now we have this error that we need to make. So we cannot resolve this namespace. So because we've changed the namespace, let's see. So we can say that. So we're going to have the CLR-namespace. Then here we have the demo. And now we are going to look for the library. Okay. And now so let's say client.library. So you can see we have the client over here. Demo.client. And now we are looking for this model. So you can see we have this models over here. So let's use this. And now with this model, we're going to say it is product model. So you can see we have this product. So we have this library, demo product library. So we make sure you have the library included. And now when you go for this, let's see. Okay, so you can see we have this product model over here. And you can have access to the image, name, price, and etc. Okay, so I believe this is set. Let's see. All right, so you can see from here that we still have our product from our database and it still works. Now here, we can now have a custom image that rendered a base default string to an image source straight. And we can now use this custom component or control anywhere that we want. All right, so this is what we want to do here. Now, what you want to do is the next thing is we want to create a model whereby I can add item to cart. So let's create a cart model. So let's go to, before that, let me clear everything from this area. Now let's go to Solution Explorer. Now you can see from this client model, everything that we're going to create here, I believe, is supposed to be the client model, because this is going to be used mostly by the client side. That is in the Maui application. So this is what we're going to do. Right click on this and now let's add a class. I'm going to paste this class here. So add a class known as cat model. Now inside this cat model, we want to have these properties. The first one that I want to have here is we want to have a product ID. You want to have product name. You want to have product price. You want to have the order quantity, the product image, and also you want to have that is a subtotal. Okay. So this, we are converting this as decimal. So we can also convert this to decimal, because you know that from this product price, we are going to pass in our price. And so you can still maintain as double, but you can still make it as decimal. Okay. But for this subtotal, you want to make it as decimal because we are passing in the type name. Let me space it up for you to see it well. So you can see we have all get and set accessed. For this decimal, or from this subtotal, we have this private variable here, and we have it public. So in that, we are get, or we want to set, you can set the value over here. And now to get, you want to multiply the product price by the quantity ordered. So if the user tries to pass in 2, you want to multiply it. So before we get this subtotal, it might have added or gotten the total for us. Alright, so these are the properties I want to create here. Now after doing this, we can now go in there and create our static list of product or cat model inside the application, so we can add or add product to that list anytime the user wants to add item to the cart. Okay, so to do that, we have to go to this app.xml. Now open this, and now in here, let's create it here. So I'm going to say list of cart model, then I'm going to say my cart, then we have a get and accessor, and here we are assigning to the new of what is list item. So after doing this, we are going to now create a cart service. Now this cart service is going to allow us to add item to the cart and also get the cart list of item. So let's go to Explorer. Now inside the services, let's create a new interface, and I'm going to name this as iCart service. So in the interface, and I'll name this as iCart service. Okay, so we have an interface here. Now we have to create our implementation class. But before that, what are the methods that you need to get over here? You want to have two methods. So the first one is add to cart and also get cart. So you can see from here we have an add item to cart async, and I can see from here get my cart async. So this is going to get at the whole list of item in the cart, and now this is going to add item to the cart. Let's make this simple. Okay. So now we are done with creating the interface. You know, implementation follows. So let's create an implementation for that. So that's going to be a class, and now that's going to be cart service. And you know, it also inherits from the interface. So we do that, and we can now generate constructor for that. So CTOR, we can generate that over here. You can also clear this as well. So the first implementation for this, let's make this as public. And at the first implementation, it is going to be the add item to cart. So with that, we're going to have this implementation here, add item to cart, and now it is accepting this cart model. We check if this cart model it is not null, then we want to proceed over here. But before that, check this. You see we are getting this app.myCart. Now this is the static class that we created in the app.xml.cs file. So this, okay. So let's say this is our basket that you want to store all the items in it. And now we are checking that if that basket it is not equal to null, then we want to perform this. But in case it is null, then we want to perform this. So let's first check. If it is null, then want to add item to the cart. So the empty basket, add a new item to it, and I return cart product added to cart. Very simple. But if it is not null, then first of all we want to check if that product ID exists in. If it exists, we check compare the quantity. If they are the same, we display product added already. But if they are not, then we create a new instance of this, we remove the old one, then we add the current one to it and display product updated. You can see this is very simple. So in here we can still create, let me populate it like this so you can see it well. I normally like one line of code because it makes it much more readable and so simple as well. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to make it in this form so you can actually see what we have in here. Alright, so we have this implemented and that's going to be the add to cart. You can see it's very simple. Here, what we are doing is we are adding item to the list of the cart model that we created as a static class or static object that you created inside the app.xml.cs file, and that is this guy. Okay, now we have the other implementation class do, and that's going to be the app.get or get cart async. So in that, what I'm going to do, let's come to this service, and now here let's implement that as well. So I'm going to close this like this, and the next line, let's try to implement get cart async. And this one is going to be very simple for us to understand as well. You see, we are returning a list of cart model. Now we're going to create an object out of product cart, and we are storing it over here as app.myCart. Now you know this app.myCart here, it is a list. So when you call this product in cart, it is a list. Take note. We're checking if the count is equal to 0, you want to return null because there's nothing in the cart. But in case the cart is more than that, we create a single cart, we look through the list of the data inside this app.myCart, then we add it to this cart model. And at the end of the day, we're going to return this cart, we convert it to a list, then we return. So this is going to return a simple cart of the user. The items that the user have added to the cart, get it for us. And this is going to do that. Also very simple as well. Okay, so now we have this. What we need to do here is we've created our implementation and our interface. We need to create dependency injection. Okay, so let's do that in the program or Maui program.cs file. So we go to solution. Now Maui program.cs file. Let's do that here. Let's add it to the next one like this. So that is it. iCart service, then cart service. Now, see from here we are adding transient, but you can also make it a singleton. Transient means anytime this method is called, create a new instance of it. Okay, so this cart service, it is there to get or call, make a service from the database. So we can make this a singleton. It's also going to work. So let's make it as add singleton, and this is also going to work as well. Okay, so let's maintain this. So after we've done with this, we have to create our cart model, or let's add a button to the view whereby we have this cart list. So as soon as the user click on add to cart, it can just get to the cart as well. Okay. So we go to Solution Explorer. Now let's go to the view model. And now you're looking for this phone home page view model. So this is for the phone. And now in here, you can see we have this as get product. And the next thing that we want to create here, it is to add to cart. So when the button is clicked, what do you want to do? We want to set an attribute as relay command, and the method is going to be add to cart. So we can now have this method over here, and let's see. So we are passing in as a product model. Okay, we check if it is null, then return. If it is not null, then we want to prompt the user, specify the quantity that you want to add. So you pass in the name over here, and let's say how many do you want. So you want to set the initial value to 1. Here I am using display prompt async. If you want to know more about this, display prompt async, display alert, and also display action sheet, I have a video done on that, so I'll put that in the description so you can just check that. And you're going to know more about that, how to use them also. So we ask the user, we pass the initial value. Now we set the maximum length, the number of keys that the person can type. And now we set it to the property of this, the quantity of the item in the database.length. Okay. And aside from that, you specify the keyboard type that you want to use, and that's a numeric. Because as soon as you specify the quantity, it means you're going to use numbers. We make the keyboard set to numbers, so display only numbers only. Okay. Now we check if string is now empty. If the user clicks on cancel or passing 0 or empty number, it's going to say return. But in case you couldn't, then you can see this is a string. So we need to convert this string into integer. And that's why we're using this n.pass. So we're going to convert n. So this is going to be like something like this. Then if I pass in 1 here, this is a string here. But as soon as I use this n.pass, it's going to scrap off this and I'll maintain the 1 as an integer. I believe this is clear. Thank you. Now, don't worry, if you haven't subscribed to, please do that now. Subscribe so you can receive more videos when I upload any as well. If you like what I'm doing to you, please do that. When you do that, it helps this video to go far away. Okay, so let's move on. Now from here, we are checking that if the user quantity it is greater than the selected product.quantity. Maybe you want to say, sorry, your quantity is out of stock. The item that you have quantity is 10. You want to buy 12. Is it possible? No, it isn't. So we check it over here and return. But in case everything is in order, then you want to display this. So this is a content display. We set it true. What is the content display here? That is when do you want to load. Okay, so that is when it is loading. Now let's see this. The first of all is a content display. So let's first create a boolean value here, a property here to hold this content display. And don't worry, when we get to the view, the example page, you're going to understand this content display or the content disabled, right? Okay, so let's put it on top here. So we have this bool as content disabled, and now we call this. Okay, so content disabled is going to check if the whole process is in order. We don't want to add one item, and as soon as it is processing, you can able to click on the other one. No, you don't want to do that. What you want to do here is when you click on the first item and the process started adding item to the cart, until the process is completed, you can't click on the next add to cart button again unless you wait. So we use this content disable to disable the content whenever you click on the button and the process has started. So we check. Now we're going to use this cart service. So what is a cart service? And that's the service that we created. So let's let's inject this into the constructor of this. So in here, we're going to say that cart service. Then we say this cart service control period. Now you can create and assign field, not property. And now we say this is solved now. Okay. Aside from that, in the first video, I think we used toast, right? We used toast over here. And if we actually check, we created, when you go to the add product, we created a toast for that. So add product view model. You can see we created a toast over here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to scrap this off. And now we're going to create a new toast class. Okay, so we can implement them here. So in here, since this toast is going to be used by only the client, we want to specify that in the client's project, not in the library, because it's only the client that are going to use it. So the server, no, it's only the client. So let's put inside the client project. Now where we have our services, we can also pass in our toast. So create a class and I'll name it as display toast. Now we make the method as public and also static. That is all. Okay, now here it is returning a bool because you want to check that is it true that it has finished displaying everything. The last part is going to return because you know that the process starts from the first one and it ends at the last one. So as soon as it ends at the last one, it means all the processes here have been executed. Then want to return true. So when you check in here where you have this phone homepage view model, we are checking that if completed. Okay, we set a variable as complete to the response of this toast. If it is completed, then what you're going to do here is you want to delay for 2000 milliseconds, and that's approximately for 2 seconds. And after that, you want to set content disable to false and disable the content to the user. So the user can now click on the new add to cart item. If not, the whole thing is what you're doing here is we're going to display when there's error here, it means invalid entry. We want to pass in alphabet, character, invalid entry. All right, so we have this over here. Now, what you need to do here is we have to implement this inside the page, okay, the view. So let's go to the views. You can see we have this add home page view. Now here, let's try to implement it over here. So before that, I believe we have to add an image. That's going to be an add to cart image. Now I have a folder and I have a one file over here, as you can see, add to cart. So I'm going to copy this and I'll go back to the Explorer, and where you have these resources, let's paste it there. Okay, So now the image is over here. That's an add to cart image, and that is this one. We can now go ahead and use the button here. Now you're going to use an image button to represent this image here. So if you actually check, you can see that all this in the vertical form, we have a frame over here, and it contains all the product that's going to be displayed. And now, aside from at the end of each product, you want to add something like the button as add to cart. So you can put it after this horizontal stack layout. Now let's paste this here. Now this is what we are doing, because we are using an image button, and that's the end over here. We set the source to this add to cart image that we just added. These are the properties that you want to set for the position also on the display. Aside from that, we have a command. So command here, we are making an ancestral type command, and now we are referring to this view. That's this home page view model. And then there's a button, or there's a method known as add to cart command. We pass in the parameter of this. Dot means referring to itself. So the current context. Now you see we are looping through this product model. So this product model is going to be looped through once. Now when it gets to once, if I click on this, it means I want to pass the whole data product model, current product model, to the add to cart method. And that is what, when you come to here, we are receiving it over here. You see the product model. So as soon as the person clicks on it, it's going to send that data to this model. And now this model has opened its hands to receive that. And I'll start the process. So let's save that. Also, what we need to do again here is to add the content display to this grid. Okay, so by doing that, I can just paste in this over here. And now if we check here, you can see that we have this grid display. We set this enable to this content display. So as soon as I click on this button, this set to true. And here is enable is going to be false. Okay, so it means that the whole content here, you can't click on any button again unless the process has completed. And as soon as the process gets completed, this is going to set to true. So that is false. It's enabled. Yeah, that is true. Okay, so we're going to set to true. So initially, as soon as you click on the button, it's set to false. So it's enabled, then it is false. So we're going to hide, or we're going to just make this in a way that you can't click on any button as well. As soon as it's completed, it sets this to true. So it's enabled, you set it true. And that is what we have now. All right, so let's see. After we've added our toast, we have to go in there and add the toast also. So you can see from here that we have this toast. But as soon as I click on control period, you can see I'm not having any method, because we've created a method known as display toast. So let's use that. And that is a static class. So with static class, you can call the name straight ahead, and I use the method in it. So display toast, then dot. Now this is solved now, so we need to use this. And now here, let's add an await to that. Okay, now let's see, and that's going to be the add product page. Okay, let's go to the add product to this is save data. Let's see add item to cart as well. Let's check that. So let's go to the phone home page view model, and I'll add item to cart. You want to make a toast. So that toast, you can see we are even using it over here. Display toast.make toast. Okay, and now you can see that it has an await, because it's going to wait for this to finish, and I return true, and this can now continue on with it. I believe where we are now, we can now go ahead and I'll try this out and see what we have. So in case you have any error, it's going to pop up for us to see. So let's click on start. Now let's run this and see what it has for us. Alright, so you can see that it is now loaded. Now what we need to do here is let's go to view products, and let's see if we're going to have the product and also the add to cart button. And when we click on that button, let's see what we're going to do. Is it going to add it or it won't? Let's check that. So I believe the cart is loading. That's right. You can see we have add to cart image, our button at the end of each. And I can see we have the quantity available too. So did I even talk about the quantity? Yes, let me check it over here and see. So when you go here, you can see I added one label, and then that is the quantity, and I made that quantity available. So you can even add available, quantity available. Then you can set up to the current quantity that we have over here, and you can see it is a horizontal stack layout. so that I can make it in a straight line. You can even use string format, okay? But here, don't worry, this is dynamic, so you can decide to use the one that you want. And I think I'm using this, so you can decide to use any one as well, okay? So this is what you're using for this, and I can see we are also banning the description. So if I go again and check over here, you can see that from the description, these, when you count the length of these ones, they are less than 40, so there's no 3 dot appended to. Check this, it is more than that. You can see you have 3 dots. It means when you go to details of this, you can read more on the description. But you can see we have the quantity available, and you can see we have the total number over here as 12, 10. You can see we have 13, you have 130, you have 110, 170, 80, and 87. And that's set to 42 as well. So these are the quantity that I added when adding the product to the database. And now if I click on add to cart, let's try that and see. We are going to have a pop-up to display the current number that we want. The default or the initial value is supposed to be 1. Let's try it out and see. So if I click on add to cart, let's see. Whoa, I have it. So how many of this, the name of this as clothes gardener do you need? If I pass in empty, see what happens. Click on OK, and I can see nothing happens. Let's do it again. So if I click this, and if I pass in these characters, no, I shouldn't pass in this. But if I decide to pass in this, see what happens. So you invalidate the entry. Okay, because what you entered isn't the right one that you need. Let's try this again. So I pass in, and now let's see 1. Quantity is 10. So if I pass in 11, let's see what happens here. Oh, sorry, your quantity is out of stock because the quantity that you want to buy, it is 11, but what we have here is 10. So it doesn't make sense that it should allow you to add the item to the cart. Yeah. All right, so let's try that again, and I'm going to add 1 to see 1, and 1 has been added. In a normal sense, I have to get a toast as product added. But you can see on Windows, I'm not having that toast well. So maybe you can decide to use the display alert, okay, product added to cart. So with this, let's see. Let's use both and see. So here, when we go to this add product, the front page view model, this we're going to do. So instead of calling this toast here too, we can also call this. We wait for this to finish. And if this couldn't display, we want to call display alert. So let's await cell dot current dot display alert. And now in here, we're going to pass in something like success. And with this, I want us to pass this response message in here. We don't want to pass in our own message, so response.message. All right. So we have this. Okay, you have to add the OK button. Okay. Now let's try this again. So build and apply. I'm going to say save this, and I'll restart from here. So if those couldn't pop up, then this display app is going to pop up. Okay. If those couldn't work, display app is going to work. But for the Android and iOS, the toast is working perfectly. But for Windows, at first it used to work when I did the first one. But this, I don't know what is happening. It is just disgracing, right? Let's see. So what's going to happen? Now we go back to this view product. Alright, so it is here. Now if I click on add to cart and the same thing, let's click on this, you might have an alert. Okay, so product added to cart. You can see you have it over here. Now let's say if I click on this and I decide to pass the same one, see what happens. That's right, product added already. Let's update it. So I decide to choose one. I want to buy 3 or 2. So let me make it 3. Click on add. Now see what happens. Product updated. So it didn't remove the first product or it didn't add a new product, but it went and now checked the data that we have in the list. If it was able to find there's a current one with the product ID, then it checks the quantity. If they are not the same or if they're not the same as what has come in now, then just wait for it, update it. And that's what we have now. So we can add a lot over here. Let's add this also. And now let's see added. Now let's add this. So you can see from here we have 3 products added to the cart, right? Now let's see. So let's give a breakpoint to check the current number that we have in the app.xml. So in here, I'm going to do like this. Then let's try to add item to the cart. So I'm going to add 2 more. Click on this. And now if I click on this, let's see what happens. How many counts? We have 3. So these are the items that we have added. Now see we have the order quantity is 3. Product ID, product image as the 64 string, product name, and the etc. Subtotal. This is a subtotal. Okay. So this is a private property. So we're not going to use this. We're going to use the subtotal. You can see these are automatically calculated for us. One price is 140. So times 3. You can see we have 421.65. It's already done. So we just have to call this as a get, and you're good to go. Alright, so now we have this. What the next thing to do here is to create our object or our view to get the whole list from the cart and display. Let's do that, and we call it a day for this video. So what we need to do here is we are going to add an image, and that's going to be, so I have one over here, so that's the view cart, and that's what I'm going to use to display. So let's go and copy this. Let's go to project, the same resources, images. Let's paste this here. So you can see here is a view card. Aside from that, let's go to the appshell.xml file, and now here let's add one shell item, and that's going to be view card. So we're going to have a button whereby you're going to click to view the card, and I reset the image over here. So that's the view card.jpg. The title of this is view card. Now this, let's copy this and let's create a component for this. Okay, so let's do that in the phone. You can see from here our phone. Right click on this. Let's add the new item. That's going to be .NET Maui. Choose a content page, and now here I'm going to name it as view card. View card page. Click on add, and I'll get the page added to the project. So in here we are going to add some namespaces here. So let's clear this title because we're going to set this title inside the view model. So let's set up this. Let's add these namespaces. And now what are these namespaces for? The first one here is, you can see we are adding the view card page view model. So this class, we have not created it yet. We are about to create it, but we are adding it here before we create it. And we also added this model from this library as a client library. So we go to the demo e-commerce library project, and now add a folder called client models. So solution, you can see from here, when you go back to this library, you can see how the folder known as client models. And now because we want to use this cart model, so that's why we are adding this namespace. Okay. We're going to also set title over here. Now with this, let's clear what we have in here because you're going to create a page where you're going to display the list of items in our cart. So now let's copy this view cart page view model, and now let's go to our view models and create that view model in here. So view models, right click, and now add a new class, and now the name is going to be view cart page view model. Let's click on this, and now let's add it. You can make this as public partial async. So this is a public partial class, and that's where we are good to go. You can just get rid of all these calls. We're not using them for now. All right, so let's save this. Let's make this model inherit from this base view model. Now see, when you go to this base view model, we are not doing anything different over there. When you click on pick definition, now you see we have just, it is inheriting from this observable object, and it has just one property of string title. Okay, because you want to set title of this, so let me close this. You want to set title to this cart page here, so that's why it is inheriting from that title. Yeah, so now we are done with this. What you have to do here is let's copy this, and now let's go back to the source page for this cart. Right click and go to view code, and now let's bind this. So control period. Now let's create an object out of this, and now let's bind this to the context by using binding context. Then we can now assign this view model. That is it. So we are done. All right, so let's go back to the view model. Now in here we have to create a constructor for that, but before that, let's see, we're going to create a method where we're going to populate the tags, the discount, the total, the grand total, and all these tabs. Okay, for now we're going to create a separate property to hold that, but no, in the near future we can create a separate class for that. Okay, so we're going to group everything once, and we can just call the class and assign the value in it, display the class, and we are good to go. But for now, don't worry, let's maintain this. The next video maybe we're going to do, when you guys want me to do the update one, we can now work on that as well. So we set these properties. Let me space them so you don't get yourself confused. You can see them. Okay, so first of all, you see we have this number of items that we want. I intentionally added the RRR to make it as a group. Okay, so you see we have the number of items. So if you decide to purchase this maybe one bag 3 times, you're gonna have the number of items as 3. So we're going to add a number of quantities here. I'm going to display to the user. Now we set the discount. So what is the discount that you want, or what is the discount of this amount, or the discount that you want to give to customers? So initial value, you're going to have initial value to it, but you can also set it at any number. That's why it is good to create a model, because when you create a model, you can set this over here. But here, when you start it like this, it means static. It means anytime that you want to add a discount, it means unless you rebuild the application again. But for now, let's maintain this. Later on, you can create a model whereby you're going to have a form to pass in, enter discount, and this discount is going to be saved to a database. And also the tags going to also be saved from database. We can get these tags and discount from database. And now we can now fuse into this, and I'll make a calculation, get a payable amount, and also get the gross amount or the gross total. But for now, let's maintain this. There's going to be a new update. If you guys wish to have an update, you're going to have that as well. So you can see we have this grand total. Now here we assign this as string because you want to convert this into a cache. Okay, string format of C to get the 0.2 decimal places. So that's why we're using this string. And the same thing applies to this payable amount. Now the next thing is you can see we have show cart empty label. So when there's no item in the cart, and when you click on view cart, you want to show something like there's nothing in your cart. Cart is empty. Okay, that's what we want to do. And here you want to also check show cart label. So the cart itself, if the cart is not empty, then show the cart. If it is empty, show empty cart label. That's what we want to do. You see these, they are like twins, okay? They go hand in hand. Two of them can't meet. One must be off, one must be on. Off and on. And then we go in that way. Once you have this property, what is the next step to do? We can just go in there and create a constructor for this, and then try to inject our service and make some calls in it. So here we inject our cart service. As you know, the interface control period, let's include it to the namespace. And now here we are creating observable range collection. And because of the class that we created as the MVVM, we installed the package known as refactor.mvvm helper by James Montemagno. Yeah, he created that. So we installed that package, and that's what we are using here as a cart model. So this is going to add it as a range. Okay. You don't have to loop through it one after the other, and I'll add it one by one. No. Get a whole item once, and I'll add it boom once, and now you go your way to make our code very clean and so simple as well. Cart model, let's include the library, and that is it. Okay, so the next thing to do here, you can see we are setting title as my cart. Now we show this cart label, we set the default one as false, or must be false. That's when the page loads for the first time. So when the page loads, we want to grab our cart. So get load cart, right, from the cart service, from the cart object in the app.xml.cs file, code behind file. So let's paste this to get that. We're using a relay command, and the method name is load cart. So first of all, you want to show cart label to false. Then you want to grab all the cart list or the cart item from this service. And now when we check if the cart item.count is greater than 0, it means yes, the user has now added something to the cart. And in such case, you want to now clear what we have here already. Okay, want to clear this, the old value that we have in there, clear that. And now let's check if my cart is null. That is this, the response here. If it is null, then I want to do something like show cart empty label. It means your cart is null, so it means you haven't added any products yet. So empty cart, yes, show empty cart to the user and return, do nothing again. But in case the cart is not null, then add a range to my cart. So this is my cart model, is a list here that we have, and now this is one coming from the service. Add it. This is going to be a list, so adding list to list by using this add range when you use this MVVM helper. Okay, then we call this method as get check summary. So what is get check summary? Get check summary. Okay. So it's going to summarize the whole thing, the number of items that you have added, the tags that you have, the total, the gross total, the tag, the discount, all those stuff, okay? And now you can now proceed to checkout, isn't it? Yes, of course. So this has to be a method that we have to create and attach to this. As soon as the load data, load cart method execute at the end of the load cart method, then call the get cart summary to get the current data from it. The reason why it has to execute before it calls this method is the second method I'm going to create, that is a get check summary method, is going to depend on the my cart model, that is the list here. So if nothing here, then here can't calculate. So that's why we are calling at the bottom, that's the tail, okay? So when this is all done, then get a tail. By the time it gets to this model, it must have data in there already. And if not having data, then check here, it's going to return. So it won't even execute to this level to have an error here. And I believe this is the best approach that we can actually do. Maybe you might have a new one. You can also let me know with that. Okay. Now let's see. So let's clear this. And now let's go in there and create this method. So we can do that in here. And these are the method. So get cat dot, is it get check summary? I like saying get cat, right? So get check summary. Now this is going to be the checkout summary. Okay, so get checkout summary. Okay, so this is what you're doing for this get check summary. We want to get a total number of items from here. So in the list, we are going to, you see my cart model here is a list. Take note. You're going to make a select out of this and specifically this column, order quantity. I want to sum the whole items over there and I'll assign it to the number of items. Now when you get to grand total, we convert this to decimal and now we're also selecting the same subtotal of each item and now we sum it. So we have a number of items, we have a grand total. Let's come to the tax. You can see from here that we did not create a model for that. Later on, maybe you can create a model and assign it to database. So what you have to do here is the tax and the discount. We just have to assign it or type it into database, create a form whereby the user can just, or the administrator can just type the tax and the discount to the database. Now, when it gets to the check summary, we just have to call the service and I get the tax and the discount and I use it in that calculation. Don't worry, maybe later on, we're going to talk about that when you guys recommend for us to continue on. Okay, but for now, let's maintain this. When it comes to the tax amount, you want to get only the tax amount. So we are using this ternary operator. If you don't know the ternary operator, please check the description. I'll put a video over there, how to use ternary and collation operator and the fat arrow, and that's going to be the lambda expression. How to use them in the C# code. They are very useful as well. And they make your work scanty. Simple, small one as well. Okay, so we check here that if the tax is greater than 0, so in a such case, tax is 3. So it is greater. If it's greater, yes, then check tax divided by 100 times the grand total. If it is not, or if it is 0, then return the 0. It means tax amount, there's no tax on that item. Let's calculate for discount amount. If discount is also greater than 0, in such case it is yes. Then tax discount to 100 times the grand total. In case it is not greater than 0, then return 0. It means the item that you are purchasing, there's no discount. So you're going to pay it and pay tax as well. In case the tax, it has tax. Now to calculate for a payable amount, this is what we're going to do. We're going to say grand total over here plus, okay, so plus tax. Because you want to add, so you're going to be plus tax because we are adding tax and we are going to add or subtract the discount because discount is the amount that we are going to subtract from your amount that you want to pay. So minus discount. Okay, so you're going to add a tax here and I'll subtract the discount, or you can even add the total and add the discount and I'll subtract tax amount. Any one is going to work. So once you're done, then you see these are the groups, payable amount, and these are the properties that we set on top over there here. So we just have to assign them, and now we could see we are formatting it to, you could see this is Ghana, so I'm using GHS, it means Ghana cities, okay? But you can see if you want dollars, you can use the dollars. If you want any, you can use any that you want, okay? But here I'm using Ghana, so you can want to use dollars, you know, I have dollars here. I have pounds too. Yes, I have that. And I believe I can use any of this in case I want that. But I don't want that, I want Ghana cities. So I'm going to use this. And we set this payable amount. Okay, so now we have this. What we have to do here is we have to create our view and I'll call this method in it. But before we do that, let's see, as soon as the page loads, it's going to call this. So you can put it here. But when the user tries to add item and I'll come back to the view and check, at that time, this page or this model won't be initialized. So what you have to do here is you have to call this method anytime the page loads, anytime the page appears. So it means you have to override on appearing method. We can do that in the page code behind file. So right click and go to view code, and now you can do that over here. So before that, let's do control period and now let's create and assign this field so we can use it over here. And now this, you can use this override method. So override, you can go for on appearing mode. So in here, let's call this method view page. Let's copy this. You paste it here, dot, and I can have a method known as load my cart data dot execute. Then you're going to pass in this. Yeah. So anytime this page appears to the screen, it's going to call that method and now get the current item. And also after calling the get item, it's going to call, calculate or check or get the checkout summary and then get the total for us. All right, so let's go to the view and then try to populate our cart view over here. And creating a UI sucks. It takes a lot of time. So I have it already. I'm going to copy and paste it and check the GitHub. I'm going to leave the link over here. You're going to have the view over here. But if you have the basic understanding, you can design something that you can actually go through and display your images, your product, and etc. Okay, now let's see. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to paste what I have here, and I'm using just a scroll view. So let me just close the scroll view here. I have vertical stack layout first, then I have this scroll view too. Okay. So Control KD. All right. So I'll just save that. And let's see. So we have this scroll view, and that is the end over here. Now, if you check, you can see we are using this vertical stack layout. These are the normal UI that you know. And if you don't know this, then I believe maybe we could take some time and go through this, but not today. Okay, because we almost spend like 1 hour now, and I want to make this video short as well. Okay, so you can see we are calling an image source, and we're using this empty cart.jpg, and now we bind this visible to this. So when the cart is empty, display this. And now where from this image? Do you have any image? No, we don't, because I haven't shown any image yet. Let me show you. Okay, so you can see now we have this empty cart, and now it tells you cart is empty. Sorry, you have no item in your cart. Okay, so this, we just have to grab this. So let me copy this, and now let's go to the Solution Explorer. Now where we have these images, let's paste it in here, and now this is solved now. We check the visibility, we set it to this as I've explained it already. Now when you check this collection view, we also checking it's visible to this show cart label. And now these two guys here, they're going to play hide and seek. If this is visible, this is going to be off. If this is on, this is going to be off, because this is showing when cart is empty. This is going to show when cart is not empty. Okay, so that's what, and we bind it to this cart model. And now you can see we specify data type as cart model, and I will try to loop through. So you can see from here we are using our control, and that's going to be the image control. We specify our image name over here, and we specify the product name, product price, order quantity, and you can see we have the subtotal, and that's what we are getting here. So when you run this, you're going to have the subtotal and that data presented nicely. Okay, now you can see they are all in the frame too. So you can see from here that they are in the frame. Now let's have the last one. That's going to be the cart summary. So the cart summary is going to tell us the tax, the discount, the grand total, and the payable amount, and now checkout button. Let's have that. So let's minimize this, the collection view. Now we have this vertical stack layout. So in here, we are going to create our cart summary here. So let me paste it like this. Very simple. We are creating just a frame vertical stack layout. And now this frame, we want to also use or show this show cart label. Okay, so when cart is off, this is also supposed to be off, because if there's no item in the cart, there shouldn't be tax, there should be amount, there shouldn't be gross total, there shouldn't be payable amount, anything. So if the cart, this is on, then this is supposed to also be on. That's a very simple thing. Okay, and now that is it. So you can see we have this display, or that's a cart summary, and we have this just a design. I know you can do better than this. And you can see we have this horizontal stack layout and displaying the number of items. This stack displaying the tax, this displaying the discount, the grand total, and the payable amount. Now, since we have said this already, what we need to do here is just call them, and that's how you go your way. Now, so when there's one guide over here, if you check here, that's the image button. Proceed to checkout.jpg. I believe we're not having that image yet, right? So let's see. And now we set this to visible to this show cart label. So when this cart label is visible, this button is also supposed to be visible as well. When it is off, this is supposed to also be off. Let's see if we can have a look at this proceed to checkout label. Oh, okay, so I have it here. As you can see, proceed to checkout. So that's the button. So let's have to grab this. You go back to the same source images and now paste it over here, and now this is solved. All right, so all that we have now, what we're going to do here is I'm going to clear all this. No, we have an error here. Okay, so there's no error. I'm going to clear all this, and we're going to now run this application to see what we have now. So start. All right, so it is now loaded. This is a desktop view. Let's go to phone view. So that's going to be the, you can see if I click on view card, let's see. View card, you have to get this item like empty. But we are not having that, right? It is not navigating. Okay, because we did not register route, right? I believe so. And we did not register the view model too. So let's do that quickly. Let's go to the Solution Explorer and now let's go to appshell.xml.cs. Here we have to register this route. So we can do some magic here like, so yeah, so that's the magic that I'm doing. Control period, let me include that. Okay, let's also go to the settings, my program.cs, and let's add that. Let's register the view model and its respective view in there. My program.cs, and now we are in here. So in here, let's try to put that here. So I believe by doing all this, we can now do it again. So edit this. I'm going to save this, and I'll try to reload this again. And now let's see. Oh, so now it is ready. Now let's go in there now and say, so I'm going to click on now view cart item, and you can see, yeah, so cart is empty. Looks like you have no items in your shopping cart. Yeah, so yes, I don't have. So let's, what we do here is let's click on view product, and we got the whole product over here. Now we can now go ahead and add items to cart. So now it's over here. Let's see, let's add some few items and add to cart. So I'm going to add this one, and I'm going to have this pop up here, added to cart. Yeah, that's right. So add this. I want to add one. Okay, so let's see, add one. You know what? Let's add more than one. So let's say 4. Now the next thing that I'm going to do here is that's going to be the next update. You can see that as soon as I add in checkout, this item has to be updated as a quantity. Because if I'm able to add 4 here and I buy, it's supposed to have 167 or 166. Okay, that is when you make a checkout, you pay. If you haven't paid, then forget. Someone can just come and buy everything, and by the time that you pay, it tells you that no, out of stock. Yeah, so first come, first serve. All right, so let's say now I'm going to add 2 here. Okay, so all right, so you can see that as soon as it is added, you can see the content here fades, it disables. Watch here, I'm adding this here. If I click on this, you can see the content disables, and if I add like 3 here, see what happens? You see content disables. I can't click unless it finishes, and I get to put that updated, and now okay. Now let's go to this and now view cart. So if I click on this, you can see I have the whole list of your product name, product price, quantity audit. Now this is the top total. Okay. Now at the end, when you come down, you can see we have the summary of your shopping. Well, I want to just have, let me just reduce the size of this. It's too long. So when you go back again to this view cart page, now this dash there too much, so I'm going to just clear some of these. Okay, save this, and now you can see now set already. So summary for your shopping. Now number of item, it is 10, because when you check here, this is 1, 5, 7, 10, right? Now let's get, so the discount is 3%, and the discount is 0.5%. So the amount that's supposed to pay is what? 3%. So this the grand total is supposed to be 30.8, 30.70. Tax of 3% going to increase it, and now discount of 0.5% going to make it to this way. You can just use calculator to check. Okay, so that is it for this video. Now you've seen how to add item to cart, how to also view cart and get the total or the subtotal, and get the quantity of item ordered, get a price and add a price, and get the tax, discount, and also calculate for the grand total, and so calculate for a payable amount as well. Alright, so I'm going to end here. Thank you so much for watching this video. I believe you guys enjoyed this as I also enjoyed it as well. If you like what I'm doing and you want me to continue again, please, thumbs up is very important as I said earlier on. Please don't forget, if you haven't subscribed to, do that. Check our playlist. We have a lot of projects for Blazor, WebAssembly, and Blazor Server, and also .NET Maui app and desktop applications over there.